Good evening and welcome to InfoWars Nightly News with me, your host, Paul Joseph Watson, sitting in for Alex Jones on this November 22nd, 2011. Coming up, the latest TSA rape case, Ron Paul gets occupied, and the latest on the situation in Egypt and much more. More on the infamous viral video pepper spraying incident at the University of California, which occurred, of course, on Friday and has since garnered worldwide attention. It now turns out that the cop involved in pepper spraying the students there for the crime of blocking a path was in fact honored. The Associated Press is reporting pepper spraying California officer previously honored. The riot-clad police officer who pepper sprayed a row of peaceful Occupy Wall Street protesters at a California university last week is a retired U.S. Marine sergeant who has been honored for his police work on campus, but also has figured in a previous discrimination suit against the university. So we've got increasing fallout from this story. We've got basically a Tiananmen Square style response with the artwork. There's pictures and drawings of this guy superimposed onto, for example, spraying Jesus at the Last Supper. It's gone absolutely super viral. The outrage has gone through the roof. We had this University of California Chancellor Linda Katihi, who tried to calm the nerves of the students, of the protesters there, by addressing them earlier today. We've also got a comment now on this from Michael Moore, who has come out on MSNBC and blamed Homeland Security for the brutality that we saw in the video. During an appearance on MSNBC, Moore correctly identified the cancer that is militarizing and corrupting law enforcement bodies, namely through Homeland Security funding. Now, it was just a few days ago that police in Tampa rolled out a 12-ton armored vehicle to deal with a handful of OWS protesters. And of course, we also have police departments using Homeland Security grants to purchase unmanned drone helicopters that can taser suspects. So everything that we saw being used against the alleged terrorists in Iraq and Afghanistan is now being targeted against the American people, thanks to Homeland Security. And if the cop in that now infamous video out of Portland casually pepper spraying non-violent students is anything to go by, how long is it before we see a Tiananmen Square style incident in the United States, which is precisely what Michael Moore has warned about in this appearance on MSNBC?
This was just 11 students in a not very well-known UC campus. And the images of this have resonated around the world in the same way that the lone young man standing in front of the tanks at Tiananmen Square resonated. This will be an iconic moment in this Occupy Wall Street movement, which clearly now has shifted to an even larger movement on campuses.
Now, of course, we had the reaction to the shooting incident at the White House several days ago with a report out of the New York Times basically blaming the fact that the alleged shooter had watched Alex Jones's film, The Obama Deception, which has literally been seen by upwards of 30 million people. We had the New York Times blaming that as an influence behind the shooting. Here's Alex Jones with a YouTube clip in which he clarifies his response to the New York Times outrageous association with the Obama deception and this White House shooter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here with some incredibly important breaking news. I covered it today on the radio. I'll cover it more tomorrow. The Obama administration, through their operatives, has had the New York Times come out and try to claim, with no facts or proof, that the guy that allegedly shot up the White House with an AK-47 did it because he was a fan of my film, The Obama Deception. Now, they did this with Richard Poplawski that shot the 3 cops. It later came out that he was a white supremacist who hated me, and the government knew that. And instead of pointing that out, just claimed he did it because he liked me when I'm calling for nonviolence. They did it with the Tucson shooter. It turned out he was a leftist. That was all lies. And we've had the Obama deception hacked and taken down. We've had fake copyright claims put on it. It's been seen more than 35 million times. Total, all the different versions are up there. Some have over 10 million, some 9.5 million. It's incredible. And an attack on our First Amendment is an attack on your First Amendment. Now, someone is all over the thing with these hack dummy accounts calling for violence against Obama on my YouTube, so that when media all over the country goes to look at that video, because the New York Times is talking about it and national TV's blaming it on me, basically, they will see all those calls for violence. It's a way to get conservatives and liberals at each other's throats instead of waking up to the banksters. And that's why they're so scared of the Obama deception. The Obama deception says that Obama is a charming, nice guy, but a puppet of the banksters, and that he'll be politically built up and destroyed. And I said it 3 years ago. I talked about Europe being imploded by a banking crisis that would lead to a Bank of the World and a Goldman Sachs banking dictatorship. Now that's in Time Magazine, Newsweek, Financial Times of London. You know, the banker coup in Europe. The film is so dead on. It's like it was made today, but it was made from the time he got elected in November until January and then February, and I released it when the FBI visited my offices and was asking questions about it. They used some other reason to come to my office, gave us a gag order, but then asked us about it, and we would call my employees and ask about the film, so we had to release it early. The Obama deception scares the daylights out of them, and it should. It tells the truth, and it exposes the next right-wing puppet that's coming. It gets past the puppets to the actual ruling elite. If we don't stand together for my First Amendment, you will lose your First Amendment. The Occupy Wall Street group has banned my name being posted on their website, calling it fascism. Oh, they're for free speech as long as it's not fascism. This is incredible. We are seeing more and more draconian pushes to restrict free speech in this country, and it's so dangerous to all of us. Please, please get the links out to everybody. Please mirror it on your site. Please get the DVDs, make copies of them, air them on Access Television. But even if you disagreed with the information in the Obama deception, you should certainly get it out to everyone you know and support it, because it's under attack. It's a First Amendment free speech issue. But I know if you'll actually watch the film, instead of listening to the New York Times, you'll see that it's for nonviolence, that it's against offensive violence, that it explains that the Federal Reserve's the problem, not the puppet presidents. It exposes the CFR, Trilateral Commission, the banking cartel. It predicted the invasion of Libya, everything, 3 years ago. Get it out to everybody you know while you still can. The fact that the Obama administration continues to demonize this, it came out a year ago, I'm on their enemies list, shows this is happening because the bankers that control him are very, very upset about what we're doing, exposing MF Global and the rest of it. So much is happening right now, and we've got to defend free speech from the internet kill switches and the rest of it. It's all coming down right now. If we lose InfoWars.com, if we lose films like the Obama deception, nobody's safe. Why does the system not want you to see the Obama deception? Why are they spamming it with calls for violence right now to shut down one of the big YouTube versions with 9.5+ million views? Because the truth hurts, and this film exposes Obama not as the big wicked devil that this guy supposedly thought he was, the Antichrist, but as a little puppet, a nobody that he is, just like other modern presidents. Please get this information out to everybody. Stand for the First Amendment today. Don't let them kill free speech by killing the Obama deception. We don't want anything to happen to Barack Obama. He is nothing but a puppet. We want the criminal interest behind him to be brought to justice. They use him like a shield that takes all the heat. And after 4 years, they throw him down and pick up a new Republican shield. When they're done with that, they pick up another one. That's what's really happening here. I'm Alex Jones from the front lines of the InfoWars. InfoWars.com.
We'll take a break now on InfoWars Nightly News, but coming up, we've got more about the TSA rape case. We've got our Man on the Street special feature. We're going to hear about the latest situation in Egypt. We've got a new scandal with ClimateGate 2.0. But at this moment, I'd like to encourage people to subscribe to prisonplanet.tv. Of course, we're running the yearly Christmas special. You can get the Patriot package, which is a 44% discount on the usual month-to-month price for a prisonplanet.tv subscription. Not only do you get live access to the radio show and obviously InfoWars Nightly News, you also get voluminous library of archives spanning back to 2004 with special reports and much, much more. So that's the Patriot package with 44% off the usual price. And we've also got the Info Warrior package, which is a whopping 70% off the usual price. And that not only includes a year subscription to prisonplanet.tv. It also includes 18 Alex Jones movies on DVD. You get every single hard copy DVD of Alex Jones's movies in addition to a year subscription for prisonplanet.tv, and that is reduced from $430.55 to just $129.95, which is 70% off the usual price. So we got the Patriot, the Info Warrior. That's how you support the Info War. That's how you support InfoWars Nightly News. So I encourage all viewers on YouTube to take advantage of those special discounts at Prison Planet. Welcome back to InfoWars Nightly News with me, your host, Paul Joseph Watson. Let's continue with the top stories today. TSA worker in uniform flashes badge, brutally rapes woman. Yet another example of a TSA agent engaging in rampant criminality and believing themselves to be above the law emerged yesterday when 52-year-old TSA worker Harold Glenn Rodman allegedly approached a woman in full uniform before flashing his badge and proceeding to brutally rape and sodomize her.
Police say that a man wearing a TSA uniform flashed a badge to a woman in Manassas and then sexually assaulted her. They say that man is 52-year-old TSA employee Harold Rodman. Gail Pennybacher is live from the Manassas neighborhood now with more. Gail.
And if that news isn't shocking enough, Leon, what people are realizing here in this community is that the man happens to be one of their own neighbors. He lives steps away from where the alleged attack occurred.
Now, this epidemic of abuse and criminality on behalf of TSA agents is something we cover here at InfoWars routinely. There's a new TSA horror story every week, sometimes multiple times weekly. We've got off-duty workers in uniforms flashing their badges as if it gives them immunity from the law to carry out harassment and sexual attacks primarily directed towards women. That's the kind of people that the Department of Homeland Security likes to hire. So why are we seeing this criminal epidemic? Is it the fact that criminals and sexual deviants are attracted to applying for TSA jobs because it gives them the power to grope, intimidate, terrorize, and dominate women and children? Or is it the federal agency itself training these goons that they have carte blanche to do whatever they want? Personally, I think it's a mixture of the two, but we're going to see a lot more of these stories with the TSA now being deployed in bus terminals, train stations, and, of course, on the highways. And remember all that paranoia about Obama's National Civilian Security Force? Well, this is it. I mean, as Jesse Ventura's case against the TSA has proved, the feds have created an agency that is above the law. When Texas tried to kick them out of the state, the feds threatened economic terrorism. They threatened to impose a no-fly zone over Texas. So is it really any surprise that the employees of an agency that has been placed above the law now thinks that they can just flash a badge and rape women without any consequences? I mean, as Mike Adams discussed on the show last night, this is another example of trickle-down tyranny. These TSA thugs are merely aping the behavior that government has defined as being acceptable. Torture and oppression. And the pepper spraying cop video, which we showed earlier, again illustrates that America's entire law enforcement and legal system is based on intimidating or torturing people into following orders. It's the pain compliance police state. And until lawmakers step up to the plate and put some teeth into efforts to abolish the TSA, we're only going to see more of it. Okay, now we go to Darren McBreen with our regular Man on the Street feature. And today, Darren's been at Austin Bergstrom Airport talking to people about how they feel with the announcement that the new cancer-causing radiation body scanners will be installed at Austin Bergstrom Airport. Over to you, Darren.
As we've documented here on InfoWars, there are scores of experts and scientists who are on record warning people that there is a significant radiation risk from airport body scanners. Yet the federal government has installed and activated these X-ray machines in just about every airport across the country, including here at Austin International. Okay, so there's increased security at airports. They're rolling out the naked body scanners, the TSA grope downs, things like that. Is all this necessary for security? Do you feel it makes you feel safer? Do you feel it's a privacy?
No, it does not make me feel safer at all. I actually think it's pretty messed up. what they're doing.
Does it make you feel safer, or do you think it's an infringement on your privacy?
I definitely feel safer, and anything they can do to increase security, I think, is a blessing for all of us. You can't be overly safe.
I don't know if everyone should be subjected to that. I think it does make me feel a little bit safer knowing that there's at least that they're trying.
The idea that there's a naked picture out there somewhere of me is a little creepy, but also kind of fun.
And what about the pat down? Some people think that's an infringement of their rights as well. They're being pat down by TSA. And if not, they go through the naked body scanners. And is this something that makes you feel safer? Is it something that we need to be doing for our safety?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm afraid it is. It's not, I don't feel, I'm a nurse though, see, so people with their hands on my body, that doesn't really bother me. I have my hands on people's bodies every day. So, it's not a big deal for me. How do you feel? Do you feel like it's an infringement?
I have a mammogram every year, and they're saying that is too high of dose, and I disagree. It's not too high.
With as much as they make us take off to go through those things, you're not carrying anything on.
I don't think it's necessary for the children to be patted down.
I really don't appreciate it, and I think it's a little bit disrespectful to who I am and what I'm doing. So I guess it's a little bit of a privacy infringement.
For those of you who plan on avoiding the TSA by staying away from airports, I'm afraid you're in for a rude awakening, because the TSA has actually expanded its Viper program, which is already active in airports, bus terminals, and subway stations, but now it also includes roadside inspections of commercial vehicles on the roads and highways across America. So a lot of people are refusing to fly because they don't want to go through this, but there's also privacy advocates who I think are justly concerned that these TSA checkpoints are expanding, not only airports, but their bus terminals, their subway stations, and now even roadside checkpoints. So they're stopping cars on freeways and roads across America. Are they going too far?
Definitely going too far. I've never heard of that, but yeah, if they are doing that, they are going very far.
I think they're going a little too far.
Yeah, I think that's going a little too far. I don't think that's the best use of our time and resources.
No, I think that's going a little too far. I don't think that might be a waste of resources.
I believe right now we're at a time and age where it's necessary.
Let's say the terrorists hate us for our freedoms, then they're winning. Because now we're no longer free if we're going to be subject to illegal searches and seizures. What would you say to those folks?
I think that's taking it a little extreme. It's not that you're not free, we're just being really safe.
Now, it's interesting to note that earlier this year, a bill was introduced to the Texas legislature that would actually bar full body scans and full body pat downs at airports. As you can imagine, the bill attracted much support and gained momentum, but was shot down as the State Department threatened to implement a no-fly zone across the entire state of Texas, should the bill pass. And now the TSA want their agents patting down, searching, scanning, and harassing American citizens at all levels of society, and not just at transportation hubs, but at major sporting events, in the streets, and on the highways across America. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News.
Thanks for that report, Darren. Now moving on with the rest of the news. Egypt renames its secret police Homeland Security. The Financial Times reports that Egypt has renamed its brutal and infamous secret police apparatus as, quote, Homeland Security. That's right, the same security force implicated in the imprisonment and torture of anti-Mubarak political activists has sought to give its much feared and loathed security state a makeover by rebranding it with the name of America's foremost post-9/11 federal agency. Quote, after initial moves to purge the security forces, attempts at systematic reform were halted, say analysts and political observers. Under the auspices of the Ministry of Interior, the 100,000-strong state security service has been renamed Homeland Security, and personnel moved around, the Financial Times reports yesterday. So the primary role of Egypt's secret police is to bug phone calls, spy on and harass presumptive candidates in Egypt's democratic elections, which of course are being halted by the ruling military junta still in charge of the country. And this secret police apparatus has been responsible in the past few days alone for the murder of dozens and the torture of thousands of Egyptian protesters over the course of the last 7 days. And as we know, just like its now Egyptian namesake, the US Department of Homeland Security has increasingly begun to take on its own secret police role within the United States, spying on protest groups and arresting political activists. The DHS's Federal Protective Service was captured on film last week, arresting photographers at an Occupy Wall Street event held in Portland. And this unit has also been used by Homeland Security to spy on anti-tax groups and arrest veterans for the crime of complaining to their local VA office. So it fits perfectly to have Egypt's secret police aspire to mimic their American counterparts. And indeed, the Egyptian authorities have pointed to the, quote, firm stance taken by US law enforcement in their treatment of Occupy Wall Street protesters to justify their brutal crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators in Cairo. So again, as we've highlighted, it's no surprise that the likes of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, these humanitarian crusaders, have barely uttered a whimper of dissent against the brutal crackdown in Egypt because, of course, we know in 2010 alone, $1.3 billion in aid from the US was sent directly to the ruling military junta. So the arrests continue, the torture continues, and, of course, the execution of political activists continues in Egypt. And now their secret police has sought to give that some sense of legitimacy by renaming themselves Homeland Security. Should we be concerned? Now, the fallout from the MF Global financial scandal continues to worsen. We have an article out of Reuters today. Farm Belt rage over MF Global could chill markets. Quote, when the CME Group pledged $300 million of its own money to help former MF Global customers get their cash back faster, the exchange was likely thinking of customers like Kansas cattle rancher Tim Reitzker. Fed up and frustrated with his broker's collapse and what he sees as the CME's slow efforts to help him retrieve $30,000 in stranded capital, Reitzker says his faith in the futures industry has been shaken to the core. Quote, I would be hedging some feeder cattle right now, but I'm not going to do it. I'm leaving them exposed to the cash market, and I don't like that, Reitzker said. So as you can see, far from affecting people with, millions and billions of dollars stored away in this failed financial broker, this is directly affecting people, farmers who invested as little as $30,000. And of course, while the thousands of small-time customers like that had their money stolen by MF Global and these regulators that have stepped in afterwards, the big boys, the billionaire financiers like the Koch brothers, miraculously managed to completely empty their accounts weeks in advance. Unlike the Gerald Celentes of this world and the farmer who was mentioned in this Reuters article, unlike those people, the big boys got a heads up. And of course, we know that the initial report said that the customer funds had been sent to JP Morgan, who then denied that they had received them despite MF Global executives swearing by it. So the money's still missing. It's now over $1.2 billion. That figure keeps climbing every day. The big boys got out ahead of time because they got a warning, whereas the smaller investors got burned and are now being told they may get some of their money back. Most of them are being told they'll never see it again. So who is really to blame for the financial instability where confidence in the markets is undermined? Not, as Forbes magazine would suggest, Alex Jones and Gerald Celente. It's the criminals who stole the money in the first place. Computerized contact lens will keep you up to date with news and text, reports the Daily Mail. Quote, imagine catching up with your text, social networking, and perhaps the news without having to log onto a computer or even glance at a smartphone. Messages and images would simply appear in front of your eyes, generated by a computerized contact lens. Isn't it all so convenient? And this takes the term iPhone, EYE, to a whole new level. And just like your smartphone, this will be useful to any company or government agency as an implantable microchip. It's virtually the same thing. Imagine Big Brother not only being able to listen to your conversations, know your exact location, but also having the ability to see through your eyes. Again, very convenient. Now, we've all seen Minority Report, you know, the slaves all required to have their irises scans before they do anything, board a bus, take a train, enter a shopping mall. Now, you'll be able to have your very own mark of the beast, making dirty cash and annoying credit cards a thing of the past. And, you know, so long as it's marketed by Apple or some of the other hip technology firms as the latest new thing, the latest fashion accessory, all the fanboys will, as per usual, rush to consume it. Now, we've been talking about this transhumanist agenda for years and how they'd use it not through coercion, not through force, but by making it cool, convenient and trendy. That's how they'd implement it. And the mindset of people who advocate this kind of brave new world is implicit in the following quote. Quote, augmenting our species through technology and genetic modification is the way we must go in the long term if we are ever to ascend to something greater than we are. We are not ready yet, though. We need to get rid of a lot of outdated ideas and morals first. And who said that? Aldous Huxley, some insidious eugenicist from the last century? No, it was a respondent to the Daily Mail article. There's literally a whole army of people out there who will not hesitate to hand over control of their bodies to a technocracy in the name of aspiring to some new warped definition of fashion or trendiness. Moving on, ClimateGate 2.0. Newly leaked emails from prominent global warming scientists reveal that even those who promote the man-made climate change thesis know that the science is being manipulated for political purposes. In an article for the London Telegraph, James Dellingpole writes, quote, 2 years after the ClimateGate scandal, a further batch of emails have been leaked onto the internet by a person or persons unknown. And as before, they show the scientists at the heart of the man-made global warming industry in a most unflattering light. Michael Mann, Phil Jones, Ben Santa, Tom Wigley, Kenneth Tremberth and Keith Briffer, all your favourite ClimateGate characters, are here once again, caught red-handed in a series of emails exaggerating the extent of anthropogenic global warming, while privately admitting to one another that the evidence is nowhere near as strong as they'd like it to be. In other words, what these emails confirm is that the great man-made global warming scare is not about science, but about political activism. And you can read the newly leaked emails at the London Telegraph article by Dellingpole, which is linked on prisonplanet.com. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. I've been your host, Paul Joseph Watson. Aaron Dykes is back in the control center tomorrow, and then Alex Jones will be back on Friday. Again, we urge you to subscribe at prisonplanet.tv if you're watching this on YouTube to get access to all the multimedia content and support the InfoWar. That's it for tonight. We'll see you back InfoWars Nightly News with the next edition. Thank you.